Hey everyone, it's Mr. Roboto again. Gonna do a trade review for September 1st, 2021. So, first off, I only took 2 day trades today. Well, I took more than that, but I traded only 2 tickers today. Altogether, probably 3 executions. I took a trade on Roku, and then I added on a pullback, and then I took a scalp on Apple in a demand zone. So very quickly, I'm just going to go over QQQ and then my thoughts going into today, and then how I managed the morning, how I was able to avoid FOMO, and basically go over one of my rules where if I don't have a plan for a specific ticker, then I won't trade it. So again, we'll go over QQQ. I trade a lot of NASDAQ stocks, large cap stocks. So again, this is the QQQ is pretty much my litmus test every morning to see what I'm going to be doing and where I think generally the market's going to be or going to do. So that kind of sets a tone for my plan for the day and whether I'm long or short or whatnot. So going into um, this morning, I was pretty bearish actually. You see that we sort of had this hanging man candle from Tuesday, and I think Tuesday ended pretty bearish. So this was Tuesday. We had this big drop, and then it rallied back up, but it didn't even test this open price, and it sort of just like hung around here all day. But in the after hours, it did have this spike, but then it got brought back down. And then in pre-market, it rallied back up, and then it started coming down. So this didn't change my plan. I was pretty bearish going into the day. QQQ looks a little overextended here, and so yeah, for the most part, all of my trade plans, I had 4 trade plans today. They were all pretty much pretty deep dip buys. I didn't plan on doing any breakouts or anything like that this morning. So when we did have this huge rally in QQQ, I think you all saw that a lot of large cap stocks started breaking out this morning. Um, and yeah, so there's a lot of FOMO this morning. I started flipping around. I think Tesla ripped this morning. There was a lot of stocks that ended up ripping. We can just go through it real quickly. So it looks, oh, yeah, Roku ripped, and I played Roku. Like Shopify ripped. Pretty sure like Apple ripped this morning. Yeah, this one gave me a lot of FOMO. Then Facebook ripped, and I'm pretty sure Microsoft ripped too. All these stocks ripped in the morning, and I did not plan for this. I was planning. My thesis was that a lot of these would go up a little bit and then go down into a pretty steep demand zone, and that was the plan that I had in place. I was going to buy those and ride them back up. But that was very quickly invalidated this morning with QQQ actually ripping up. Um, so yeah, I didn't sit around and start coming up with plans on the fly to like, okay, maybe I'll take this trade like here or whatnot, because that's just sort of a recipe for disaster. You start making things up on the fly, and you start making some questionable entries and whatnot. So I think some of you guys saw I tweeted, I'm just sitting on my hands. I didn't take any executions at open, and I'm just going to wait for the market to develop. And that's essentially what I did. So yeah, I was taking a look at Roku. I had a level on Roku for a while now, and I'll show you how I got this level. So I had 362.75 as a key level on Roku. And I got that basically off of this downward trend break. There's this trend line here that I drew, connecting these highs. And then I also had, so imagine this is today's daily candle. So, so yeah, imagine this daily candle is not here, but essentially, if we look at this, so these are the levels that I had for Roku. You can see that, there's this key resistance here. This high was actually 362.99. And then here it broke this again and it went to 364.23, as high as that. Um, but I essentially connected these two lines and I came up with a level 362.75. There's no specific, pinpoint level where I got this number, but it was a sort of a number that where I was very comfortable. If Roku broke through this 362.75 with velocity, that I was pretty comfortable going long. Um, so that's essentially what I came up with. I had this 1 hour supply zone at 367.94. So my plan was I would take calls at this 362 number, and I would start scaling out, a little bit before this supply zone, and then I would start scaling out with the eventual price target of like 376 as a psych level resistance, and you can see that it was hit here. The high of this was 375.98, so you just rounded up to 376 psych level. This was a supply zone because you can see last time the price action was in this area, we knifed down. So there was a lot of sellers in this area. So I pretty much get this off of this basing candle here, this green basing candle. You take the open of this, and I you know draw a box all the way up to the top of this open. Now, um, drawing zones, a lot of people will do it slightly differently. I don't prescribe to any set rules where I have to use this candle or I have to use this wick or whatever. Um, Everyone does it differently. At least I think so. Everyone does it differently, and it's an art, not necessarily a science. So you only get better by doing this over and over and over and going back through charts and going through history and drawing zones on stuff that's already happened, and just like trying to figure out, why did the price go here, why did the price sell off here. And the more times you do that, the better you start honing that art of drawing zones. So a lot of people ask me, why did you have this level, or whatnot? Why did you have this specific number? And sometimes I don't really have a specific answer. It's really just from hours and hours of doing this and drawing out these zones, and you know honing in on this skill. So um, sometimes I might have some crazy like number that is probably different from other people, but again, that's how I have honed this skill, and you should definitely hone it for yourself too by, like I said, going back and going through hundreds, if not thousands, of charts and drawing out these patterns and these zones. Um, Cool. So this was my plan going into Roku, and then so I ended up getting an alert right around. So I set my alerts a little bit below the key level. So I got an alert at 362. So immediately I looked at Roku, and I had already the contracts that I was going to be buying. That was already decided ahead of time. Um, and then yeah, so when Roku broke this 362.75 level, you can see it wicked up. I actually bought like right around here my first contract. When did, yeah, right around here. This is on the 5 minute. I bought my first contract right around on this candle, but just a starter in case it wants to continue going. I was very happy with the volume and the velocity that Roku broke through this key level. This is what you want to see. You want to see it increasing volume, and you want to see it just blast through your key level. If it like gets stuffed at your key level, like barely breaks it and then starts going down, then I'm less likely to enter. That's a sort of weakness to me. But yeah, I was very happy with this. So I took my first contract right around here. There's always going to be a pullback. and it pulled back and it sort of wicked very hard from my key level. So yeah, here I took another contract right around here, got a little bit cheaper than the other one, and then I waited, and then right around here, here, and then here, I didn't take any more, but I was only probably at half my position size here, and I was, I was getting a little I was at this point I was kicking myself for not taking my full position, but it ended up dipping. So yeah, we were patient, and then I ended up taking my full position right around in this wick. And I'll tell you why I was very confident of taking my position here, um, rather than panic selling or anything. Is because if you look at this volume, this is on the 5 minute. You see the ramp up. There's a lot of buyers, and then on this sell off, we get this very large sell candle, red candle, but there's very little volume to it in comparison to the green candles that preceded it. So yeah, it was very low volume pullback. You want to be adding on low volume pullbacks. And this is actually the 2 minute. You can see it better on the 5 minute. So yeah, this is what I saw on the 5 minute where I don't like that view. Okay, so this is what I saw on the 5 minute. So look at this very big red candle, but look at this very low volume to it. So immediately after, so that's signaling to me we have seller exhaustion. The sellers are trying to bring it down, but there's just not enough sellers able to bring it down. I love adding on these sort of candles. I added my full position here, and soon enough we ripped right after. So I took my first scale, very happy with my entries. I was happy that I was able to get a full position. And then I took my first scale right around here, right below this supply zone. Yeah, it's probably early, but I like selling into strength, and that's what I do. I took half of my position off right here, and then I rode the rest up to here, and it went down, and I didn't sell because I was trying to get this 376 psych, but it didn't sell at this point. But I didn't panic. It didn't hit that, but I didn't sell. And at this point, I essentially um, I wanted to add to my position at this point. Um, so I looked at this 1 hour supply zone and I essentially flipped it into a demand zone at that point. And then right around here, I went ahead and added to my position. I was fairly confident that it was going to bounce here. ROKU made a very strong move. If you look at the hourly here, um, this volume alone was like, it's like the most volume it's had in like 10 days. So this was very bullish to me. The fact that we are above these previous highs from like the past week or two, and that we're basing at these and creating new demand zones at this above these highs, very bullish to me. So I was very confident to add to my position. So I essentially flipped this previous supply zone and I flipped it into a demand zone. Um, so I added more to my position here. I essentially added my two contracts or my two contracts that I sold here. I pretty much just added them here. Um, yep, and then I sold into strength. I essentially sold those two contracts here, and then I sold my last contract. Again, I was trying to go for this break up here. I sold my last contract right around here when it failed to make a new higher high, and I sensed weakness. So I was pretty much happy with, how I essentially happy with my profit. So I just sold my last one here. So yeah, that's how I played ROKU. The example of trading your plan, being patient with your scales, scaling in, and then scaling out into strength, and then sort of on the fly, looking for a place where I can add to my winner. So yeah, very very happy with the end result of this trade. I didn't take anything else for a good amount of time. But I was eyeing this zone on Apple. I don't know if you follow my Twitter, you'll see that I really like these supply turn demand zones. It's one of my favorite setups. So I'm always looking for these opportunities, and I spotted one here on Apple, and I actually posted this one. But you can see that this was a previous supply zone, and last time the price action was here, we sold off. But then we had a big rally that just broke through this zone. Um, so what happens is that there's a lot of short sellers that are here. They shorted it, and then the price went down, and they're happy. And if they didn't cover, when the price goes back up, all of a sudden these shorts are underwater, so they're feeling a lot of pain. But when the price goes back to this level where they started their short, a lot of these shorts will actually cover right here, and that in conjunction with bulls who are looking for a dip buy, that can oftentimes bring the price back up. So that's why I think these supply turn demand zones are they're very potent if they work correctly, especially if there are a lot of shorts that are underwater and looking to get out, break even in that zone. So yeah, when I saw Apple start to go down, I had this chart pulled up and I was waiting for this zone to happen. Um, so this, I didn't enter here. In hindsight, this might have been a good entry because it was like right before the zone for a quick scalp. But I didn't enter, and I was a little bit I was patient, and I waited for it to get down a little bit further. But as you can see, I pointed this out in my Twitter. As you can see, price sort of just sliced through this zone straight. It just like invalidated it like immediately. So I had bids placed right around here, but when I saw that the price action wasn't slowing down and I wasn't getting any like volume price analysis confirmation that it was going to bounce here, so there's no signal of like seller exhaustion here yet, right? This is probably the first sign of seller exhaustion. We sort of get this large candle, and well, actually, this is not seller exhaustion because this large candle had increased volume, sort of in line with how large that candle is. So again, there's no confirmation. There was no seller exhaustion that I was noticing in the volume. So I immediately canceled my bids here and I set them lower. I set them like really low where if I did happen to get filled, then I might be happy with my entry. I almost didn't expect to get filled. So I set these low fishing bids and I went about, I was watching TV in the other room, and then all of a sudden I hear that I ended up getting filled. So I come back to my computer and I actually got filled right at the bottom, right here. And it was a smaller position because, in an invalidated zone, there's no reason to go heavy. It's sort of just a lotto. If I get filled, I get filled, and I'm probably going to be happy with my fills if I did get filled. And that's exactly what happened. I ended up getting filled here. I actually had a bid that was a little bit higher, so I did get filled up here. But my last contract was filled literally at the bottom. And I don't like to stay in these positions too long. This is essentially you're in the backside of the move. I'm not looking to take this as for a reversal or anything. I'm looking to essentially get out before the price drops on me. So yeah, I scaled out. I scaled everything out right here for a small scalp. I think I made like $50 or something like that. But hindsight, probably not worth the effort, not worth the mental, the mental cost of putting this trade together. I could have just let this zone the zone was invalidated. I could have just left it at that and went about my day. But so yeah, those are the two trades I ended up taking today. Yeah, so again, just a quick recap. This morning, there was a lot of things that broke out, a lot of FOMO, everyone is in these like trades that are just like breaking out. A lot of people are making money, and it's very easy to have FOMO, and all of a sudden you start trying to chase these moves. And if you didn't have a plan for these trades, a lot of times those are the trades where you're going to end up losing, because you're all of a sudden you're making your supply zones and your resistance levels on the fly, and you're having to do that while watching the price action, and you're making your plan like on the spot. And whenever I'm doing that, I don't have the full context of that ticker, and almost always taking worse trades. So yeah, you don't have to trade every day. I mean, sometimes you just have to just sit back and let trades happen, and let things fall in your lap. And that's essentially what I ended up doing today. Um, and yeah, ended up being a really good day, a really good trade on Roku. That was pretty much 90% of the profit I made today was that Roku trade. Yeah, I'm very happy with the end result. Even though it looked like this morning we weren't going to put any trades together. But yeah, so that's it for September 1st. Again, if you have any questions, just reach out to me on Twitter. I'm pretty active on my DMs, so I like to try to get to everyone's questions. But that's it, and I hope you all learn something.